Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Jujutsu Kaisen. Unlock the 8 secret arts at the start. Chapter 1. Fuzang, Shan's, a construction site. The silver-white full moon hangs high above the dome, and the black clouds are constantly piled under the full moon, concealing all the moonlight that should be shining on the earth. A humanoid monster with dark brown eyes all over the body stood on the ruins of the construction site, and its huge mouth secreted terribly corrosive pus dripping onto the ground. Zzz. Zzz. Large and small pits were corroded on the ground. The stench constantly emitted bursts of stench, like a worm just crawling out of the sewer. The disgusting monster is about 3 meters tall, like a giant. Opposite it stood a tall boy. An ink-like long black hair was randomly scattered on his shoulders. Dressed in a casual outfit, with his hands in his pockets, he raised his head casually, and the silver-white pupils reflected the figure of the monster. In such a huge monster, a teenager who was a little over 1 meter seemed as small as a baby. Level 4 Cursed Spirit. Ryuiki calmly looked at the monster that appeared in front of him, with a slight disappointment in his tone. There was a scarlet across the pair of Danfeng's eyes. A bit of greed suddenly appeared in the monster's dark brown eyes. Fix the water pipe. It will be repaired today. If you can't fix it, don't leave work. It seemed that the strange voices of several middle-aged men's accusations superimposed on each other sounded, with bursts of weirdness. Boom. The monster rushed to Ryuiki outrageously. Every step of his huge body made the ground under his feet tremble constantly. The plumbing is repaired. Repaired. Boom. The cursed spirit is like a heavy tank, crushing it with terrifying power to the unrelenting young man in front of him. Hey. Facing the terrible monster that could easily crush ordinary people into flesh, the corners of Ryuiki's mouth outlined an arc of disdain. Base. I saw his feet lightly, and the cross pendant on his neck radiated faint fluorescent light. Before the 4th level cursed spirit was about to hit him, his figure instantly turned into an afterimage. Boom. Cursed spirit's huge body directly smashed a wall made of concrete, dust and powder flying all over the sky, covering the monster's huge body. Ho ho ho. The monster scratched his head suspiciously. The young man who clearly had no curse power was able to easily dodge his own attack, which made the mind of the 4-level cursed spirit, which was already one of the few, unable to turn for a while. The Jujutsu division and cursed spirit have been fighting for thousands of years. Humans without curse power are their food, their prey. However, that ordinary teenager disappeared before his eyes in the blink of an eye. The dense eyes of the monster looked around, trying to find the location of the boy, and suddenly, a joking voice rang in its ears. Are you looking for me? That voice was like a babble from the devil in hell, causing the lower cursed spirit, who shouldn't have any feelings, to tremble involuntarily. Fix. Fix. Cannot fix. The wisdom of the lower cursed spirit can only support it and speak its resentment. Is the cursed spirit born because of the boss's harshness? I don't know what it tastes like. Ryuiki appeared on the top of the monster's head at some point, his fingers folded lightly together, muttering something to himself. The look in cursed spirit's eyes seemed to look at another delicious piece of food. Roar. The 4th level cursed spirit suddenly waved a huge palm, and slammed it on the top of his head with great anger. The tyrannical palm wind brought fluctuations. Ryuiki stood on top of the monster's head, facing the attack. Without avoiding it, the wind rustled his hair. Fix it. Fix it. 6 Immortal Thief Treasury Swallow. Pong. Rumble. As the cursed spirit roared, Ryuiki coldly stretched out the overlapping fingers and opened his mouth slightly. In an instant, a terrifying suction erupted in his mouth, and the force swept like a hurricane. Rumble. Shoo. Shoo. Cursed spirit didn't even have time to say a complete sentence. In the next moment, its huge body was like a balloon punctured by a needle, and it quickly dried up. The dark brown eyes all lost their color, and they began to look like weathered plastic toys, and they continued to loosen. Click. Patter. Countless eyes fell from cursed spirit's body. The curse accumulated in his body was taken away by Ryuiki using a strange method and sucked into his abdomen. After a breath, the 4th level cursed spirit dissipated in the wind like burnt yellow paper. Ryuiki's face has a look of enjoyment. Muttered to himself. Chocolate flavor. Not bad. The frightening cursed spirit is like a child's toy in front of Ryuiki. No. It should be said that it is like a buffet restaurant where people can choose the food. 6 Immortal Thief Treasury really didn't disappoint me. Open the panel. Ryuiki said silently in his heart. Divine Armament 100 Refinements. Satisfactory current progress is 100%. 6 Immortal Thief Treasury. Beginner 9% of the current progress. Fenghuchi Men. Unlocked. Dispatch of Detained Spirits. Unlocked. Full Hand. Not unlocked. Tong Tien Talisman. Unlocked. Deluo Cave Temple. Unlocked. Origin of Qi. Not unlocked. Chapter 2. 2 years have passed. Ryuiki twisted his wrist, his eyes slightly lost. He is a traverser who has traveled into the world of Jujutsu Kaisen and became the heir of the Zenin family, one of the famous big 3 sorcerer families in Jujutsu. His real name is Zenin Ryuiki, but the identity of the Zenin family did not allow him to receive the slightest favor. As a descendant of the Zenin family, Ryuiki, who was born without cursive power, almost became a rat-like existence in the Jujutsu Supreme family, and was finally driven out by the family in the name of experience. And the moment he was kicked out of the house, his belated system was also activated. Those are the 8 strongest stunts from the Alien comics, 8 mysterious arts, which is the apex of the entire Alien world. Only when the previous 8 mysterious arts is under his complete control and the progress is 100%, the next magical skill will be randomly activated. Even with the blessing of the Golden Finger, it took Ryuiki 2 years to fully master the Divine Armament 100 Refinements, and he just unlocked 6 Immortal Thief Treasury not long ago. Ryuiki, who has mastered Divine Armament 100 Refinements, can instantly refine everything into a very high-quality cursed tool. The strength of the previous 4-level cursed spirit is too weak. Even Ryuiki's 6 Immortal Thief Treasury couldn't bear the power of throughput, let alone seeing the cursed tool forged by Divine Armament 100 Refinements. Clang. A crisp sound of wind chimes rang in Ryuiki's ears. Around his neck, there was a small cross pendant, which was different from ordinary ornaments. At this moment, the cross was emitting bursts of pale blue light, and it made several sounds like wind chimes from time to time. Ryuiki, who was lost in thought, pulled back into reality. Get out, otherwise don't show up forever. Ryuiki snapped his fingers casually. He only heard the voice of Pung, and a rocking chair appeared out of thin air behind him. Under this weird scene, it seemed very out of place. There are wisteria patterns all over the rocking chair, which looks very elegant and noble. Ryuiki leaned his body on the rocking chair and stared at the corner of the construction site with gloomy eyes. Like an unchanging iceberg, the surrounding air seems to have become thinner. Finally, at the gate of the construction site, 2 big men in black suits and sunglasses walked out. The head of the person exuded a very strong curse power, obviously not the general. Looking at the rocking chair, Ryuiki was contented. The older man among the 2 strode away and dropped the other half of his body. He walked in front of Ryuiki first. Master Ryuiki, you have been out long enough, you should go home. Although the man said something for discussion, there was no room left in his tone. It seems that as long as he speaks, the boy in front of him will obediently go home with him. Ryuiki lay on the rocking chair, his body swaying slightly, as if he was enjoying the moonlight that broke through the dark clouds on the earth. Turning a deaf ear to what the man in front of him said, the corners of his mouth turned upward, revealing a bit. Zenin Ryuiki, don't go too far. The blue veins on the man's forehead suddenly violent, who didn't know that Zenin Ryuiki was a waste without the slightest curse. Now I don't know what shit luck I've gone, and there is such a weird jujutsu. Even the elders of Zenin's family were alarmed and personally ordered them to call Ryuiki back to the family. However, seeing the old waste facing him with such a ignorant attitude at this moment, the man couldn't help but feel annoyed, but for the task that the elder explained, he still held back his anger. Zenin's house. I'm not interested. Ryuiki narrowed his eyes, as if he didn't even have any interest in looking at the man more. He waved his palm in disgust, as if to catch a fly. Asshole. Do you know what you are talking about? How many jujutsu masters want to visit Zenin's house without a chance? The man roared and looked at Ryuiki incredulously. It was like looking at a madman again. He thought that Ryuiki would return to the family happily after hearing the family's decision. After all, as one of the leaders in the Jujutsu world, the strength and resources of the Zenin family are beyond imagination. But unexpectedly, the current Zenin Ryuiki actually treats himself with this attitude. I really thought it would be really great to be a little bit crooked. The man yelled, looking at Ryuiki, who looked indifferent, and suddenly waved his left hand. A burst of dark purple curse power spread quickly on his arm, and a powerful force emerged in an instant. Shock. The mighty power, wrapped in a weird curse, this terrifying punch turned the surrounding air into purple. Go straight to Ryuiki lying on the rocking chair and fight. As a second-level jujutsu teacher, a man is confident that he can easily teach the little devil in front of him. In his mind, he estimated that Ryuiki at the moment would have at most a level 3 level, the kind he had just entered the level 3. But, next moment, sudden change. A silver-white cold light illuminates the night, fleetingly. Chapter 3. Click. The arm entangled by the dark purple curse, as if cut off by something, suddenly fell to the ground, and a large amount of blood stained the surrounding ground red. Ah! The man let out a heartbreaking wailing. The severe pain made this seemingly invincible man let out a pup-like scream uncontrollably. A small dagger was quietly inserted on the ground, and under the moonlight, the cold light glowed, which made people shudder. Big brother. Another man who came with the big man couldn't help but exclaimed when he saw this scene, and rushed over quickly. Ryuiki was still lying on the rocking chair with a drowsy look, but for some reason, the man felt chills all over his body. First level cursed tool. How is it possible? This level of cursed tool, even in Zenin's family, is very rare. With the support of his hand, the broken arm man firmly held his mind and used the curse power to stop the wound from bleeding. Looking pale at the dagger on the ground. With his eyesight, he recognized the level of the dagger at a glance. Although it is impossible to see the specific content of the curse above, the cursed tool that can cut off the body of the second-level Jujutsu master at will, there is no doubt that this is the first-level cursed tool. Zenin Ryuiki, don't go too far. Stealing the cursed tool is the most serious crime, so you'd better confess it obediently. The man immediately recognized that Ryuiki's cursed tool was stolen from the family before he left. At this moment, I actually want to rely on the family's reputation to suppress Ryuiki and make him surrender the cursed tool. Even though the man broke his arm right now, a deep hidden greed flashed in his eyes. Smelly boy, I really think that you can do whatever you want with the first-level cursed tool. It's ridiculous to use such a powerful cursed tool as a dart, and it's a violent thing. If I kill him now, then this cursed tool, is it just? The man's complexion instantly changed from pale to rosy, and his eyes rolled steadily. All this was seen by Ryuiki, and he couldn't help feeling a bit funny. Zenin Ryuiki, unfortunately died while fighting the cursed spirit, and the cursed spirit was destroyed by me, who was too late. In this way, the cursed tool is mine. Ryuiki looked at the man with some sarcasm, and said softly. And the man's face changed a lot, just because everything Ryuiki said was what he thought in his heart. The man whose dirty side was revealed all at once showed a cruel smile. Idiot. You without cursed tool. What can you use to fight me? Bang. The man rushed towards Ryuiki in an instant, and at the same time the countless dark purple curse power rushed out, piercing the chest of the subordinate who had not yet become the jujutsu teacher behind him. Click. Until his death, the poor little brother didn't understand what he had done wrong. Murder for treasure. This matter must never be known to the second person. The first-level cursed tool, let alone a little brother, even if his parents are in front, I am afraid that this man who has been completely reduced to a beast of desire will not keep the slightest hand. Ha ha ha. Go to hell. 8 ghosts fall. Wow. The dark purple jujutsu condensed into a huge slap and suddenly fell from the sky, and everything around it seemed to be enveloped in it. The tyrannical curse was extremely corrosive, and the surrounding air began to twist slightly. Faced with such a terrifying attack, Ryuiki didn't even get up from the rocking chair. I saw him slowly raising a finger and waving it indiscriminately. The man in the air was a little bit bad. Whoosh whoosh. 3 sounds of breaking through the air sounded. The dagger that was exactly the same as the man's arm was cut off before, following Ryuiki's hand to direct the dance, it flew out like a butterfly. Beautiful and deadly cold light suddenly appeared. Go straight to the man's chest. The man lost his color in panic, condensed his curse power in a panic, quickly twisted his body, and assumed a funny gesture of holding his head in his hands. Can't escape the attack of the dagger. How can you have 4 cursed tools of this level? Base. Shit. Base. 4. Ryuiki looked suspiciously in front of him, the man who kept avoiding throwing knives like a clown. With a pop, he snapped a crisp finger. In the man's incredible eyes, countless daggers slowly emerged behind Ryuiki, covering the sky and the sun, like a flock of crows. Do not. Shenji Crowfall. The first level cursed tool that was extremely rare in the man's mouth, the first level cursed tool that made him want to kill him, instantly drowned him. His body was like a candle in the sky trying to resist the terrifying attack, but he was swallowed up by the endless crow swarm, almost instantly. Ryuiki breathed in lightly, and among the crows, all the man's curse was swallowed by him. 6 Immortal Thief Treasury can swallow all curse power and turn it into its own use. Of course Ryuiki will not waste this curse power. The group of crows also disappeared after swallowing the man. The terrifying group of cursed tools seemed to have never appeared before. Ryuiki, who had clearly killed someone for the first time, didn't feel the slightest discomfort. Cursed spirit has seen a lot, and killing people may have long been easy. Besides, some people do not necessarily have to be more kind than cursed spirit. Cursed spirit will always be cursed spirit, and people may not always be people. Chapter 4. Oh. Caught it. Zenin Ryuiki. You killed someone. This is really big news. A cool boy voice rang from behind Ryuiki. However, Zenin Ryuiki did not have the slightest accident, the corners of his mouth were slightly pursed, and he didn't even turn his head back. Why are you here? Cut. You are still so boring, Zenin Ryuiki. Hearing Ryuiki's words, the boy behind him curled his mouth boringly, and he appeared in front of Ryuiki while his body twisted. This young man was covered with silver hair, scattered like frost on the autumn night. He was wearing black casual clothes and a pair of sunglasses on the bridge of his nose. His expression was very relaxed. Obviously he saw a murder case with his own eyes just now, but he seemed to be accustomed to it and didn't care. Crouching on the opposite side of Ryuiki, he took out a camera and snapped at Ryuiki. Don't waste your efforts, you can't photograph me. Ryuiki showed a helpless expression that was rare. Looking at the beautiful boy holding the camera in front of him, there is a black line. The boy looked like he had listened completely, and the camera in his hand was constantly flickering. Then he picked up the camera and took a look. The film was so dark that even the slightest shadow of Ryuiki was not reflected in it. Your jujutsu is really weird. The boy shook his left hand casually, and the camera he was holding in his hand disappeared out of thin air. Ryuiki slowly sat up straight from the wisteria flower rocking chair. You who are recognized as the next head of the Gojo family, do you have such a leisurely time? Gojo Satoru. Hey, what's your tone of voice? I came to see you from a long distance. Is your attitude like this? It's really sad. Gojo Satoru raised his brows, shrugged his shoulders casually, and put on a posture of, I'm very hurt, looking at Lo with a full smile. We are friends, aren't we? Ryuiki stood up and snapped his fingers again. Under Gojo Satoru's curious gaze, the wisteria rocking chair behind him gradually turned into nothingness. It's been a long time, Goku. Don't be so nauseous, Ryuiki. Gojo Satoru and Zenin Ryuiki looked at each other and smiled. Gojo Satoru, the ceiling of combat power among Jujutsu Kaisen, is still in his teenage years. Although he is still young, he has already revealed the appearance of a king. The prestige of the 6 eyes, the fierce name surpassed the world. The Gojo family has long been appointed as the heir of the patriarch. A few years ago, before Ryuiki was evicted from the Zenin family, Big 3 sorcerer families once held an exchange meeting between families. Gojo Satoru has become the focus of everyone. For some reason, I found Ryuiki who was supposed to be drowned in the crowd at a glance. At that time, Gojo Satoru looked like a proud dragon, listening to the flattery of the jackals, tigers and leopards in his ears, looking around boredly. It's like some kind of guidance in Mei. The moment when I saw Zenin Ryuiki who was silent in the corner. An absurd idea suddenly appeared in Gojo Satoru's mind. He saw it. A deep mire. Similar. a Zongxing Pengyu, a deep mire, two teenagers, somehow became friends. But the contact between the two was completely broken after Ryuiki left Zenon's house. Until today, Gojo Satoru has not found a close friend whom he has not seen for a long time. It's been a long time, but it's not the time to relive the old days. Gojo Satoru showed a smile, squatting on the ground and looking up at the sky above. Woo, woo. The black and purple curse continued to condense in the air, and the tyrannical curse were intertwined like a spider web. The second-level Jujutsu master is in a place full of curse, and if he dies with resentment, a new curse will be born. Gojo Satoru placed his chin on his palm. The eyes hidden under the glasses looked at everything in front of them with interest. I know, so what? Ryuiki's body was straight like a javelin, and he looked at the mighty curse gradually condensing in the air blankly, and said coldly. What about the birth of a new curse? No matter what he becomes, the murderer will always kill him, even if he becomes curse. But it is. Kill it again. Ryuiki's voice was cold without any emotion. Gojo Satoru, who stood shoulder to shoulder with him, was taken aback. Then there was a smile at the corner of his mouth. You guy, really? Roar. A huge roar sounded. Due to the death of the second-level Jujutsu division, the birth of a new cursed spirit appeared in the air. It was a monster formed by countless arms, without a head or body, just like countless arms superimposed on top of each other to construct a terrifying curse. The quasi-level curse caller is born. Mine. It's all mine. It's all mine. The cursed spirit uttered obsessive babbles, the whole body twisted together, and there was a loud bang of pung. Like a cannonball, it rushed to the two people on the ground with a bang. The powerful force set off a hurricane, which blew the clothes of the two of them. Gojo Satoru pushed his sunglasses lightly. I ignored the terrifying cursed spirit, looked at Ryuiki on the side, and continued. It's really interesting. Afterwards, Gojo Satoru's hands quickly made a strange gesture. Boom. Click. The quasi-level 1 cursed spirit, which was constantly impacting in the midair, was instantly imprisoned in the midair. Gojo Satoru bumped Ryuiki with his shoulder and said in a stern tone. Oh, look, this is called a friend, I will take care of your troubles. Chapter 5. Give it to me. It's all mine. Give it to me. The cursed spirit in the midair seemed to be imprisoned by an invisible big hand. The space seemed to be frozen by some weird force. Even the air solidified with Gojo Satoru's gesture. The mighty power, with unbridled arrogance, vented in the factory unscrupulously, completely compressing the curse power of the quasi-level curse into a harmless ball of flesh. Feeling all the weird changes around him, Ryuiki's heart was also very shocked. Is this Gojo Satoru? It's terrible, can you have such a terrifying power at this age? At this moment, Gojo Satoru's fingers were swaying randomly, and the cursed spirit in midair was like a child's hands being constantly kneaded in mud. The body with strong curse power was constantly twisted and deformed. The cursed spirit, which originally had no bones, was suddenly twisted into a shape. It's weird to say that Jujutsu should have been engraved in the body when the warlock was born. You actually broke the rules. Gojo Satoru's attention only stayed on the poor cursed spirit for a few seconds, and then shifted to Ryuiki's body at once. The sunglasses slid down gently, and the fascinating pair of blue eyes came out for the first time. In the pair of pupils of the sky, it seemed that the entire starry sky was contained in it, quietly turning in Gojo Satoru's pupils according to a certain pattern. Every time I see it, I feel very shocked. Ryuiki faced the pair of eyes that made cursed spirit and Jujutsu very scared. Without the slightest tension, but with a bit of appreciation. So that the whole Jujutsu world is focused on 6 eyes. If the 6 eyes can be poached, I am afraid that those who are immortal will not be able to sit still. Seeing that Ryuiki hadn't answered his question, Gojo Satoru didn't say much. Instead, he followed Ryuiki's topic with a bit of sarcasm. The people of the Gojo family don't just sit back and watch, and those who don't die will also consider the consequences. Ryuiki raised his head and looked at the continuously distorted cursed spirit, and said casually. Gojo Satoru opened his mouth just to say something, suddenly frowned. Not good. Rumble. A huge arm suddenly appeared from the ground, and the terrifying force instantly tore the earth apart, Gojo Satoru's figure moved quickly, and Ryuiki on the side disappeared as early as the moment the arm just appeared. Is there another one? Gojo Satoru jumped and stood on a high platform. Looking at the cursed spirit appearing on the ground that is as indistinguishable as midair, he shrugged helplessly. Give it to me. Give it to me. The newly appeared cursed spirit let out a roar, and on the opposite side, Ryuiki's figure slowly emerged. Hey, Satoru, your temptation is too old-fashioned. Ryuiki complained a little, glanced dissatisfiedly, and sat on the high platform with a look of Gojo Satoru watching a play. If someone said that he was negligent and didn't find that there was a quasi-first cursed spirit, Ryuiki could still believe it a little bit. But Gojo Satoru with 6 eyes, unless he voluntarily can't see it, all the cursed spirits are conspicuous in front of him like lights in the night. Gojo Satoru rubbed his chin a few times, and he laughed, without speaking. For Ryuiki's strength, Gojo Satoru always feels unrealistic. Since there is such an opportunity at this moment, he will naturally not let it go. What's more, he didn't believe that his kind would be hurt by this level of cursed spirit. Give it to me. Give it to me. Cursed spirit's voice was a little bit crying, and opened his arms. Countless arms are like centipedes, covered with large and small curse models. He grabbed Ryuiki fiercely. I know, I'll give it all to you, okay. Facing such a powerful attack, Ryuiki's tone was somewhat helpless, like the terrifying monster in front of him, just like a bear kid who wanted a lollipop. The finger was lifted instantly, the 2 fingers were overlapped, and the cross pendant on his chest flashed a gloomy light. Rumble. Bang bang bang. The countless arms of cursed spirit were resisted by a faint blue light at the moment they were about to catch Ryuiki. The arms that touched the faint light rotted quickly as if they were poisoned by some kind of poison. The halo formed a translucent barrier in front of Ryuiki, warding out all the power of the cursed spirit. Ah! Cursed spirit wailed, and his companion in the sky was also crushed by Gojo Satoru's jujutsu, almost exploding. I want the cursed tool. Right, here you are. Ryuiki's palm waved randomly. Next moment, the cross exploded with a powerful curse. The faint blue light seemed to have turned into a Manjusawa in hell, beautiful and deadly, and completely swallowed the cursed spirit in an instant. The dark purple curse power was slightly invisible, being absorbed by that Yulin. Bang! Almost at the same time, the cursed spirit in the sky also exploded to pieces. The cursed tool is made instantly, and jujutsu can be summoned at will, plus the spell swallowing spell. Ryuiki, you guy, it's really not easy. Gojo Satoru looked at what was happening on the ground in shock, and under his 6 eyes, Ryuiki, everything he did just now was clearly seen by him. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.